objections, contradictions, and a parrot? Welcome to Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. Welcome, you turnabout gamers and learners, to Teaching Gamers, where we talk about the games that taught us and how we can teach with games. My name is Mallory Kesson. I'm a gamer, teacher, and ed tech coach with a passion for bringing games and learning together. Today's review explores Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, what we can learn from it, and how it can be used in classrooms. If you enjoy what we're doing here, feel free to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell to receive notifications for when we post new content. Let's get started. Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney is the beginning of a gaming franchise that will celebrate its 20th anniversary this October. The games typically follow defense attorney Phoenix Wright as he defends his clients and believes in them to the bitter end. Also known as the turnabout attorney, Phoenix is known for taking on seemingly hopeless cases against the best prosecutors and increasingly impossible odds. And yet, through finding contradictions, presenting the right evidence, and pressing witnesses, players and Phoenix turn every case around and fight to find the truth at the heart of every mystery. The gameplay is a cross between a visual novel, point-and-click adventure, and pressing witness statements and presenting evidence to contradict them. While none of the controls are physically complicated, there is plenty of mental work for players. Ace Attorney also pushes players to consider ethics in different cases, such as what does a defense attorney do if they truly believe their client is guilty? Or how do you handle when the only way to win might be forged evidence? Is it winning or the truth that matters most? Middle school and up can play the series. There is quite a bit of reading, attention to detail, and some more cartoony depictions of blood or violence. Language arts and social studies classes could have a field day with this and really benefit from it from the middle school level and high school level. You could use it as a way that students could have their own mock trial as a summative assessment in class, or as a great introduction into the power of persuasion and into the power that evidence and arguments really have. But while a number of the cases are murder cases, the benefit of having more cartoony and lighthearted characters is that it does take a little bit of the edge off as opposed to if it was trying to be an incredibly realistic simulator. As much as I wish every real-world trial played out like one in Ace Attorney, it is not a real-world trial simulator, so it probably should not be used like that with the next crop of budding lawyers. However, it would be so cool to do a comparison between Eastern and Western court systems and Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney and see what we find as similarities and differences between the game and various court systems. The designers themselves even pulled elements of East and West and added in some of their own elements as well to make it a really compelling game. There are so many great opportunities for critical thinking. It's not enough for the player to just say, I think this is the culprit. They have to go step by step through witness statements, contradictions, needs for evidence. It actually, in a weird way, feels like doing a proof in geometry class, when you're asked to go step by step and how you solve a problem. Or when you're asked to do a persuasive essay and you have to explain your argument each time. It's not a matter of thinking you just have the best claim. It really focuses on outlining the argument, presenting your evidence, and focusing a lot on that logic. Building a bit on using it for language arts classes, there is a ton of reading for comprehension, analyzing details, and more. For example, a witness's whole testimony could fall apart just by the player paying attention to if someone is left-handed or right-handed in the details. It's even a game that I used in my own language arts classes as an example for finding proof to support reasoning. Your claims are great, but if you don't have the proof to back it up, no one's gonna listen. And it's the same thing in Ace Attorney. As mentioned before, later cases do examine some potential ethical issues And what's brilliant is that each game seems to build on that. For social studies classes, or classes studying government or the justice system, this could be a really great and really low barrier way for students to dive into that. Again, with the fact that we're using cartoon characters and this fictional case, it makes it a lot easier for us to approach some of these issues and questions that come to mind. A final teachable moment that the game has really comes down to Phoenix's attitude. Phoenix, his mentor Mia Fey, and a number of the other characters really display this amazing grit that I think a lot of students could really benefit from seeing. There's a whole point made throughout the series that no matter what happens, when things look their darkest, a lawyer's job is to make sure that they are smiling, believing in their client, and fighting till the end. And what a beautiful lesson for students to see too. So not only could Ace Attorney be used for critical thinking, persuasion, comparing with legal systems, but it's also an amazing game series to use as a way for students to get to see what happens when you don't give up and what happens when you pursue truth to the end, no matter what that takes. Whether you're a language arts class, a social studies class, a math class looking for an example of proofs being important, or anything in between, there's so much to pick up on and learn from Ace Attorney. So let's talk about the positives and pitfalls of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Positives: a ton of fun characters are included in this game. As an English teacher, I live for a good pun. And let me tell you, from Wendy Oldbag to Larry Butts, there are plenty of fun puns and play on words that are included throughout this entire game. The fun characters and silly moments like that really do a nice job blending in with some of the more serious moments, including when Phoenix thinks that there's no chance he has at winning. It's also a game that requires a ton of reading. So if you're facing critics saying that students should be reading and not dealing with games, this is a great game that could help appease some of those voices. Another positive is that each case is only loosely connected to the others. So if you wanted to jump into a case later on, as long as you've solved it first in your save file, you should be able to access it and then pick and choose which cases or which segments you want to work with without students having to need to play through the entire game themselves. Another positive is that given that Ace Attorney has been around for almost 20 years, they've been great at making sure they are updating as they go. Over the years, Ace Attorney has updated to new devices, so you have a number of options for accessing the games that might make it easier to do in a classroom. You can use PC using Steam, Nintendo Switch, mobile devices, and if you are going old school, it pains me to have to call this old school. You can use Nintendo DS or 3DS as well. Now what about the pitfalls? Ace Attorney is very much a single player game, which is lovely, but it also means that with larger class sizes, students may be waiting a little longer for playtime, or it may mean that you need students to team up in order for more people to play. This pitfall that we're avoiding really has more to do with what resources you have available and the number of students you work with. But there are a ton of really creative ways that you can use single player games in a classroom, even if you have 30 plus kids. Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney is a quirky and compelling way for players to practice critical thinking, close reading, and a lot of evidence collecting and persuading. It can be great both as a starting point for talking about the justice system, all the way up to being a great project for students to practice persuasion, do a mock trial, or even build their own cases. No matter which way you choose to use it, Phoenix Wright, his 20-year legacy, and his attitude of not giving up and pursuing justice and the truth to the end will all be excellent additions for your classroom. Thanks for watching the Teaching Gamers review of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. If you want to learn more about the game, check out the link in the description below. If you have questions, comments, ideas for games we should check out, and more, feel free to leave a comment below. And of course, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you can see more of Teaching Gamers. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.